Mike McCool here in the Royal Examiner studio, and with me today I have a few gentlemen here from a ministry that we have in Winchester, and kind of really serves our area. And we have Charles Marquette, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
And Dana Braun. So they are here from an organization called Patriots Educational
Ministries.
Dana, why don't you tell us a little bit about what the vision is and what are some of the things you do in this organization? Because you look like, with that word patriot in there, I think we have a little, and he's got a little tag on it that says, keep America great.
Keep America great.
So why don't you kind of give us the background?
Well, first off, thank you for having us today, Mike.
Sure.
We started this about almost 3 years ago as a little kind of neighborhood ministry.
Sure.
To get people together in case something were to happen, because
Sure.
it was a little scary during COVID.
Sure.
And we met every Monday for the first couple weeks, and people started bringing people. So we ended up outside under a pavilion with 20, 30, 40, 50. We got up to 65 people outside in the winter and so forth. But the main mission back then was to have just a communications net for people. If they needed help with groceries, or they needed help with wood, or they needed help with food, we would be able to help them out.
Sure.
Well, the ministry grew, and then Charlie and I got together, and we turned it from Mountain Patriots into Mountain Patriots Educational Ministries, where we looked at another group called Taking America Back, which is Port Henry 1607 project down in near Richmond. And they gave us what are called the 20 spheres of influence, or we call them 7 mountains, because we have 7 mountains of influence.
Sure.
And that was designed for us to be able to put together a program for our ministry on different steps that we could take inside the community, from civil defense to holistic medications to schools, school board, elections, the Constitution, and so forth. And that's how it grew a little bit. It grew a lot. And then we ended up doing 8 Wake Up Winchester Health and Freedom conferences.
Right.
With people like Dr. Sheila Fury for Virginia for Medical Freedom Alliance, and Virginia for Children's First, which is Ann Kraft Hadis, and a lot of other people. So it got pretty big, and Charlie and I decided it was time to turn it into a ministry, because we are a Christian ministry, and it went from Mountain Patriots to Mountain Patriots Educational Ministries.
Amazing how things grow.
We didn't expect it.
It is, and we say we're Christian constitutional conservatives.
Absolutely.
And
That's a good title to wear, isn't it?
yeah, and where we met, it's interesting too, because it was here in Front Royal.
Okay.
I belong to the Shenandoah Christian Alliance,
Right.
Dale Carpenter.
Right.
And at one of his meetings, Dana and someone else came to say hello and speak to us about it. And he told me exactly what I was looking for. It fit the bill. I spent 15 years in Loudoun County, moved out here 10 years ago.
We won't hold that against you.
You understand? Well, before that, I was even in Fairfax County.
Oh,
so I've been
Have you been detoxified?
detoxifying. Baby steps west.
That's it. That's what you got to do.
Yeah, and so what I was looking for, I had joined the Loudoun County Republican Committee, and it wasn't quite what I was looking for. So I started a meetup at my home, and I wrote a column in the Purcellville Gazette for 4 years. We moved out here. I joined the Frederick County Republican Committee, and then I finally figured it out that they don't take sides in a primary. And a primary is where it's most important to get the right person in the race, because you can get rhinos, you can get
Sure.
nobody's.
Well, it's more of a grassroots. That kind of like separates the wheat from the chaff. Yeah.
People don't
Exactly.
pay attention.
But the Republican Committee statewide, their policy is don't pick favorites in the primary. I understand that, and I'm fine with that. So now that I understood that, I go off and do that stuff myself, and that's exactly what these guys were doing when I came along, as well as preparing for the worst and being able to help each other when that happens, or even if the worst doesn't happen, people find themselves in tough circumstances, just to help out, to make ourselves more valuable by providing services, material, labor, your time, talent, and treasure.
Right.
And,
it sounds like a community prepper organization.
It pretty much is.
Yeah.
I hate to use the M word, militia, because we're not.
Right.
But we do pretty much everything that they would do, besides hide in the woods and do training and everything else. But
community-based, though. A lot of times preppers are individuals, and this sounds more like a community-based.
They're lone wolves.
Well, there's
lone wolves.
a basic truth in being prepared is if you're by yourself, you're not going to make it.
Right.
You have to have a community around you, but you're still that individual responsible for yourself.
And your family.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
So we have the educational ministry, spiritual ministry, constitution ministry, because people don't.
That's an important. It's
they don't
amazing.
Know the Constitution.
No.
Or the Bill of Rights.
No.
Civics is almost non-existent. So that covers.
That's what this will be about.
Part.
Civics.
And the preparedness, the community, and health and wellness. So we kind of cover the waterfront. We don't do everything. But we do parts of everything depending on who's willing, who's available, what your talents are, what your resources are. And we're like-minded individuals helping each other.
That's right.
And we bring people in, Mike. So we've had Sheila Fury come up and talk to us. Right now we're looking at different candidates. We haven't chosen who's going to run for governor or anything like that, but we wanted to see every single one of them.
Yeah, we want to hear what they have to say.
And get a chance to meet them and be able to do research, because people come up to you at a voting booth and say, who should I vote for?
Isn't that silly?
It is amazing. And we do all of that. We work the polls and so forth.
Yeah, it's amazing what people will do.
They
get a sample ballot and they just check the box.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they have no idea. So the last election, 23, we had everybody, we didn't care whether they were Republican or Democrat.
Right.
That's not what this is about.
Local elections should be nonpartisan.
Exactly. So we had them all there. Whether they were Republican or Democrat, anybody who ran for the Board of Supervisors, ran for school board, Commissioner of the Revenue.
Come to our meeting and introduce themselves.
Yes.
Tell us what they're all about.
What's funny is a lot of them were like, wait a second, this will really help the community. So they come back. Last week we had a gentleman who was running for lieutenant governor.
Right.
Okay. John Reed. Okay. And we'll have Pat Harity and Winsome Sears and so forth. And Abigail Spanberger if she wants to come up. And so we had him there. But while he was there, so was the Commissioner of the Revenue. So was the Clerk of Court. So was the Vice Chair of Frederick County Republican Committee teaching people how bills go through.
Sure.
Where it's a
chairman of the school board. The chairman of the school board.
The chairman of the school board was there.
Yeah.
Okay. So and the candidate was looking at this, going, "Wait a minute. This little group has 40 people here, and there's the chairman of the school board, the commissioner of the revenue, the clerk of court. Who else do they have? The FCRC vice chair. Who are these guys?
Right.
I'm also a commissioner on the planning commission.
Right.
The planning, right. And the planning commission was there too, right.
Right.
So we all work together. We want to make sure that people aren't being overtaxed. They understand what their rights are. We just did something a couple weeks back where one of our guys, he's been in the service, high-level clearance, and he was supposed to be here today. He's in Warrenton today. But he taught everybody the 4th, the 5th, and the 6th Amendment. Mm-hmm. People scratching their heads saying,
I didn't know
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
or they know one part of it
Yes.
that we hear the media just pound on and they forget about the rest of it.
I have the right to remain silent. That's all
Yeah.
they know.
Yeah. So you got this event coming up in June. It's, before you know, it'll be here.
Of
So
course.
tell us a little bit about it. It's called Make the Best Use of How Our Government Works. That's got a good title, ring to it there. So what's the premise of that?
Well, I have to start by giving some kudos to my wife.
Okay, well, I always do that.
I have to. She is I'm out here doing this kind of stuff with Charlie. I'm the face. She and I are the face of it. My wife, Barbara, everybody calls her Batgirl.
Yeah.
Okay, because her name is Barbara Gordon. If you remember the comic strip,
yes,
Barbara
yeah.
Gordon was Batgirl.
I want to interject real quick. Now, behind every successful man is a woman pushing him.
She's phenomenal.
So that's kind of like,
I fall in that category too.
Yeah, she's phenomenal. I've known her since I was 12 years old. We go back that far. But she puts all of this stuff together on all of our websites and so forth. But we got to a point where we realized over the last few years that people have absolutely no idea what their elected officials do.
right.
So we have delegates. Okay, we have the delegate from Warren County coming into Larso's.
Right.
She will explain what a delegate is, what they do, what
Yeah,
bills
how-
they have,
that's right.
how it works. The sheriff will be there to explain, I'm the sheriff. This is how I work. This is how the Constitution works. This is what I do.
Yeah, those are constitutional offices.
We're supposed to be.
That's what people don't realize, that they think, well, just no.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But they're
Especially the
supposed
sheriff.
to be.
Yeah.
Very valuable
Yeah.
as long as they take on that responsibility seriously themselves, and not just be the local Barney Fife.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. We have a column on the Royal Examiner called Historically Speaking, and there's a professor out in Oklahoma that writes these columns that we share, and he looks at today's events, but then goes back and tells you about the history, and we think it's so. He said, "Yeah, we did this 100 years ago,"
Right.
Yeah.
and he tries to show comparing what they did then and what they're doing now, and I find it very interesting.
We do a lot of that.
And
We do.
very
So we have
interesting.
George Washington.
Yeah, I in full uniform. I've been George Washington at one of
Right.
our meetup, our Wake Up Winchesters. We have also had
That's where
Liberty.
I recognize you from.
Right, he and I went to different schools.
That's
together.
right.
We also have Liberty Man.
Right.
From down
Larry
here.
Johnson.
Larry
is
Johnson.
great.
He's
fantastic.
gave us a program. He's going to be at this one, in fact.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of history that we really
Civil War.
enjoy. Yeah, Civil War.
We did
have
Civil War education.
and we have a reenactor or two, a couple of
Absolutely.
reenactors that are part of our group, and so we were really keen on the word education
Very much.
in our ministries. Of all our ministries, education goes through all of them because we want to educate, we want to train, we want people to be able to live a better life, and we'll help them in many ways, and not just the understanding of how to do it, but with resources to come alongside them and help out.
Most important ministry, and this is where a lot of this started. It's the kids. I have a lot more days behind me than I do ahead of me.
Sure.
Okay. One of the companies that I run backs a lot of anti-child trafficking organizations. As a matter of fact, we have a young lady, Jean Ann, who knows all about CPS and everything else and how child trafficking goes. And we do a lot of training, and we're re-bringing that back up because of course, the Epstein files and everything that's going on. People don't realize how dangerous the trafficking is. And it's not just something that happens outside. It happens in your home. It happens in the schools.
Well, it happens right under your eyes. And you
Right
don't know
under
it.
your
And
nose.
Sometimes you just need to know the signs so that you can.
And that's what we teach.
Yeah.
That's what we teach. But the children are the most important part. I know you dealt with Bowman with the library down here.
Sure.
Okay. We're dealing with the same thing in our schools up in Frederick County. Trying to get the garbage
Sure.
out of the schools. The kids they need to know reading, writing, and arithmetic.
Right.
They don't need to know
And
much more.
patriotism.
They have to know patriotism.
Yeah.
We'd like to get the Bibles
we
and
may-
so
we-
forth back in school.
We need civics everywhere.
Right.
There's a group called Tactical Civics,
Right.
which are really pushing hard to make sure that everybody gets that.
Yeah.
We're not just educating children; we're educating adults,
Right.
Both.
and there's opportunities for us in the future to maybe even start a Christian school. Ways to help, kind of like what's your group. We were just talking to the lady out in the foyer.
Bridge Hope.
Bridge of
Yeah, yeah.
I
Bridge
saw
of Hope.
Nina on here, and I thought there's something that we could help with.
Yeah.
That's
We
very
do
similar
food already.
to part of our organization.
Yeah, or these they have that one-stop resource center every quarter, and what they do is basically nonprofits, sometimes 20, 30, 40 of them, they show up at the community center, and just it does help the public because you go there to find out what's available.
Right.
But the networking they do among each other, I didn't realize you did that. I didn't think, and then they start working together because you can't provide every service to everyone, so they start networking together. And I'll date myself.
and-
They build up their Rolodex,
Yeah, right. And to talk about networking, most of our people, well, I shouldn't say most, but quite a few of our people have their own business.
Right.
So we help each other by providing
Sure.
whatever your business is to,
Anything
to
from
other
construction
members.
to farming to healthcare. We have a healthcare program.
Sure.
That can be done through us, which is about a third of what people are spending now.
And we've given out over 6,000 pounds of
That's this
venison.
year. Last
Yeah.
year we did almost 4,000 pounds of venison from
Yeah.
hunters from the
Yeah.
homeless, hunters
Yeah.
from Hungary down in
So
Leesburg.
we become a distribution way for them to get the meat out to people who are hungry.
Yeah. Yeah.
And on a note with that, when North Carolina got hit by Helene, we hooked with we have different signal channels. So we have one for holistic, and we have our regular channel, that we can all communicate with, and then we have our mountain emergency response. If something happens, nobody uses that unless a kid is missing.
Sure.
Okay, which we found kids out there at night. But we also had our mountain disaster relief, where we all pulled together and helped get trucks down to North Carolina with all the meat. And
Well, we filled up several trucks.
we filled up several trucks.
with goods to help living.
And that was with, especially with a young lady, Chris Snyder, okay? Great guy in Shawneeland. And then we have a young lady, Belford's Farm Market, Karen Belford. Her son is 12. And he put together Kemper Cares. We love the kids.
Yeah.
He got an award for, from the sheriff's department and everybody else. He put together this whole program, Mike, on getting generators, gasoline, blankets, and they
Truckloads of stuff.
truckloads. And he and his mom and his dad went down to North Carolina, and then had other people go down. So all we had to do was get the word out and collect stuff.
Sure. Community coming together. We
Have to.
We have the resources. We just got to work together to try
People are afraid to.
They are. We used to know our neighbors. We sat out
Used
on the
to.
porch and yell at the kids. And
Right.
Exactly
now
right.
we don't sit on the porch. We're on our screen and looking at it. And so we're trying to get back. We need, that's the, we've covered a story this week called Join or Die. You got to join a group or you're going to die. That's what pretty
Yeah.
much how it is. We're social creatures, and this COVID
And
thing.
social media has taken the social part
Yeah, they're
out
not
of
social
life.
at all.
It's just
is it?
media.
Right.
Well, it sounds like, let's go back to this real quick, because this
Sure.
sounds to me interesting. They're calling it a Health and Freedom Conference. So where's this going to be at?
This will be at the Millwood Fire Hall
Okay.
on
Where
June
the bingo
28th,
parlor will be.
where the
Right,
bingo
right.
hall is, right near Costco.
Yeah.
There will be a lot of speakers there. Okay, we have the Clouds coming up to talk about national security.
So it's an all-day event,
It's an all-day
like
event.
11 to
to
It's a
7.
long
So you can come
day.
and go and
You can come and go.
Okay.
What we found, it's kind of funny. People show up at 11, and then they get glued in,
right.
and they're there all day. And the neat thing about it is this isn't something that we're trying to make a lot of money at. It's
Right.
just not. So we're ordering pizza. So for $20, you get a ticket. You can be there all day long.
Right.
And you get pizza for lunch.
There you go.
And then there's waters and sodas and things
Sure.
like that. So it's designed to attract people to come in. So they get a chance to see what each one of the officers that we have are. Okay? I'm working on Timmy French right now
Sure.
to come in and work with us. We have some great speakers from Virginia for Children First and Tatus, which will explain all Title IX. And what's going on with the education.
Right.
Sheila Fury is covering everything from vaccines to a taboo subject, abortion, which
Right.
we're pro-life all the way. Make no bones about that. So she'll be up to talk about that. And we'll have some booths there for some prepping and,
It sounds interesting. It's going to be,
it's
and
a ball.
between now and then, a lot can change.
Oh, yeah.
The administration is changing things pretty quick. So,
Daily.
keeping up on it.
And we meet weekly, so we're able to stay abreast of what's going on.
Well, it sounds like you've locked onto something that the community wants.
It's important.
And it's a very important topic. And so as you get closer to this, keep us posted, make sure nothing's changed, and we'll promote that up
And
to
we've
our
started
readers.
our own blog. We're going to record episode 2 tomorrow.
We have a podcast like you have here
Not
today.
blog, podcast.
Right.
We have our own podcast, the Mountain Patriots Educational Ministries podcast. Just call it the Mountain Podcast.
Right.
And we start with something national, what's going
And
on
drive it
nationally,
down to the local level.
and drive it right down into
Yeah.
how it's affecting us locally.
Yeah, I sometimes I'll post a national story on the Royal Exam. Oh, I want local stuff. Then not realizing these
It is
things,
local.
all politics are local, and you got to look at the big picture and say, well, how does this drive down to our local area, and what do I need to look at now, because this is that's what happens. And
That's the
Right.
biggest problem, then,
So-
Mike. People look at it, and this is why we're run by the government. They're waiting for the government to tell us what to do.
Right.
We're looking at it going, wait a second, your taxes pay that. So you can walk in and say anything you want, which we saw during COVID.
Sure.
You can't.
Right.
Okay?
And we're
So-
seeing a lot now about where our judicial system is running our executive system.
Yes, we're trying to.
Right now.
But even if you look past it, and everybody wants you to obey the law. I mean, we have it, or sometimes we might need to change the law. But at the same time, when you support certain things, regardless of what it is, you got to look at the whole picture. And your thing is, remember, if you support this, it also includes this. Sometimes we like this part, but we
Right.
don't like this part. And so that gets changed by being involved in the community and be involved in our process. I
What
think.
we've learned over the last 5 years, I've learned more in the last 5 or 6 years than I did all through school. You own your own business and you look at
Sure,
taxes
sure,
and
sure.
the CPAs and financial planners and so forth. But when you get into the grassroots stuff, you're like, wait a second, I didn't know
Yeah.
this and this and this. And I had a feeling. We have a
Sure, yeah.
feeling, but we don't know what to do about it. So that's the educational
Yeah.
ministry.
Let me mention something too. You mentioned civics,
Yes.
and I did a little story over here at the middle school. They actually teach a civics class in
love
fifth
it.
grade.
That's beautiful.
I didn't realize part of the new administration.
That's
And
beautiful.
cursive
time.
is coming back to fifth grade. It's in
They're
the
gonna have to sign
curriculum
their
for
name.
next year. Yes,
I love it.
A few changes. It happens. It goes away quick. Because you look at it and say, when did that disappear?
Yes.
But it's now coming, they're starting to see some changes. And so I thought it was just something to mention. Cursive is coming back. They're
I love
teaching
it.
civics. They're actually in one of the graduation requirements. I call it, you got to learn to balance your checkbook. It's called something else. But
My
but
wife was
basically-
talking about that
But
last
it's
night.
basically, when you graduate, okay, now we have this personal finance type course. You got to learn to balance your checkbook.
Absolutely.
And the next thing we need to teach that we don't, and that's wealth management. We teach about money, but we don't teach about wealth.
That's coming.
And so that's something that is a topic.
Well, there's another piece of that also is I remember in school I had industrial arts
Right.
every year.
Right.
I
It's
learned
gone.
to fix the plumbing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
well as a whole lot of other industrial skills.
Right.
Even though I was in a science curriculum.
Right. And
We
we're
need
seeing,
that.
We're seeing back, we have here in Warren County, we
Shop.
have the Blue Ridge Technical.
Shop.
Yeah, we called shop and did woodworking and metal and welding.
Yep.
Now, of course, it's gone to the technical side. But they do. But now you're starting to see it drift
Exactly.
back to the other side. And look at people and the jobs they have. An electrician's making as much as a doctor.
Yeah, I mean,
So, yeah.
the people that go to a trade school come out and make a good living.
Yeah.
Or even if they don't go, they just go through an apprenticeship.
Sure.
Whereas a lot of people who graduated from college are clerks in stores.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, it sounds like you've got a lot on your plate.
We do have a lot.
But let us know if we can help, and we want to let
And
people
vice
know.
versa.
Right. And
You know?
but you have a website and you have this blog, so we'll put that information in the story where people can go and check it out and see if it's something they're interested in.
Just wakeupwinchester.com.
well, you know,
we kept it easy.
The other thing is you don't have to live in Winchester to participate in this.
Bingo.
Well, we have people that come all the way from Richmond.
There you go.
Richmond, Chesterfield, Woodstock. I mean, we have people that come that drive an hour and a half to come
Yeah.
there on Monday nights.
Right.
Loudoun
learn.
County, West
we're te-
Virginia.
Well, there's
We're
hope for
teaching-
Loudoun County, isn't there?
Yeah,
There
there is. But we go down there too, so we help them start a group like ours.
Yeah.
So they have radios, they know how to purify water. They
Yeah,
know how
we want to be repeatable
Yeah.
so that people
and sustainable.
Kind of like a franchise.
Yeah, kind
Yeah.
of, but it's theirs. You know, we don't
right.
run it. We just help.
Yeah. Well, again, thanks a lot, guys, for coming in and
Well,
sharing
thank
this
you.
with us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much.